begin. Okay, awesome. Hello, everyone. I'm so happy you were able to join today. The topic is transitions, and it's really an important topic because I feel like other areas of your day are talked about and brought up during meetings and trainings, but transitions don't seem to be discussed as much, at least not when I was a teacher. Transitions, they can be tough. We all know this. It's hard getting multiple children's coats on while still watching the rest of the class and keeping everyone entertained, redirecting child behaviors, and lining them up. It's a juggling act, to say the least. So what I'm hoping for today is to provide you with a discussion of what transitions are, give 5 tips for transitions, share ideas and inspiration for you that you can start using in your class as early as tomorrow. So let's begin. What are transitions? To put it simply, transitions are when children move from one activity to another. Whether it's going from free play to snack or outdoor play to lunch, transitions, as you all know, can get hectic. So here are some tips on how to make transitioning a smoother process. My first tip of the day, here we go, is preparation. If not planned carefully, the various transitions throughout the day can become triggers for behavior and may lead children to become distressed or anxious. Preparing young children that transitions happen and how to best transition can reduce the likelihood of difficult behaviors, confusion, and challenges. Use a circle time or a large group discussion time to clarify how children should go from place to place. I would suggest starting this conversation in the beginning of the year and then bringing it up as reminders throughout the year. Sit together and say, today I want to talk about going from outside to inside. Does anyone know how we should go from outside to inside? Do we drive? No, just let them call things out. We walk, we line up, we're quiet. Yes, that's exactly right. Should we all line up on our heads? No, make it silly, make it fun, make it engaging. We should face forward. Should we spin around and jump up and down in our lines? No, we should stand still. Yes, that's correct. And then model this behavior during your transitions. Say out loud when you're lining up, remember how we should line up, not on our heads, right? Wow, you're all lining up exactly how we talked about. Be very intentional with your communication with the children during those transitions. And then let them be a part of the planning for transitions. Okay, today when we go from snack to outside, should we pull on the shirts of our friends in front of us? No. Should we touch all the coats in the hallway? No. Where should we put our hands? These simple conversations can make a difference. Another part of preparation is to have materials ready ahead of time. So I suggest before beginning a transition, ensure that the materials are ready for your children for that next activity. For example, if your children are playing in centers and you know it's almost the transition to go outside, I would gather all of their coats in one location while they're still playing. So when their areas are all cleaned up, they can grab their coats and it's in a convenient place for them. Sometimes I notice classrooms with coats located outside in the hallway, and the teacher has to constantly stand in the hallway to watch the children while also watching the kids in the class. And so this could be a solution for that. Maybe you have a classroom assistant assigned to a child each week that helps you set the table for snack in preparation for that transition. Just thinking ahead with your days and what can be set up ahead of time to prevent disorder. And let me just clarify something. Setting up the table or gathering coats ahead of time can be planned out in a strategic manner. I do not want you engaging in play. I do not want you not engaging in play for the hour of free play because you're concerned with the next transition. You want to be present in each moment of the day with your children. But since you've already planned that in those last 10 minutes of free plays when you're going to gather the coats, you will not be distracted during the 50 minutes prior. Or since this morning before start of school, you already planned at what time you'll arrange the materials for your larger group activity, you can remain present with the children during the rest of the time. I hope that makes sense. Tip number 2 is systems. Create a system for your transitions. If you have 2 or more teachers in your classroom, it may be a good idea to sit down together and write down each transition that takes place in your school day and come up with a plan for each. Write down roles and responsibilities for each of you during those transitions. For example, one will do hand washing while the other entertains the children with an activity. or one will be responsible for getting coats on the children while the other is doing a song and dance with the remaining children. If you're the only teacher in your classroom, that's okay. You can still write down your plan for each transition. I was almost always alone in my classrooms as well, and it's not something that you think to plan out, but once I started writing little notes for myself on my lesson plans for each transition, it became more intentional. And then I was actually able to throw in study-related activities during my transitions. Don't be afraid to individualize transitions as well. If some children have finished cleaning up and washed their hands, let them begin eating snack once they get to the table. Or if you're able to split the classroom, you can have one teacher take out half the children for outdoor play if they're already lined up and ready, while the other assists the remaining children with cleaning up and getting coats on. The goal is to establish a well-organized, solid routine for preschoolers to move through the day independently. This way, you'll create a clear path for them to make fluid transitions while remaining emotionally regulated. And the last thing I'll end on when it comes to creating systems, and this is directly from those Itters and Eckers tool books, and that is to make sure that your children do not go over 3 minutes of waiting time during a transition where they're not being engaged. I'll say that again. If the transition takes 10 minutes, but the children are engaged the whole time, you're fine. But if your children are standing in line without any engagement whatsoever for more than 3 minutes, that's what you want to work on. Tip number 3, activities. Here's the fun one. I want to share with you a few of my favorites, but of course, the options for transition activities are limitless. Anything that keeps the engagement of your children while they have to wait for the next part of the day is a success. So the first one is Mighty Minutes. These come from the creative curriculum. For those of you who may not have heard of them, there are 300 Mighty Minutes, although I'm not sure how many actually came in each of your kits, and they're designed to hit several objectives while keeping the children engaged, and not to mention they're fun. Sorry, let me find. Okay, so the Mighty Minutes, if you look on the slide here, you'll see I gave some examples of them. My personal favorite one, which I'm no longer a teacher, as you know, but I do this with my children today because it's just still so much fun. It's Nothing, Nothing, Something. It's at the top right, number 16. And what I would do is I would have the children cleaning up their centers and then come to the line when they're done. The ones that are done in the line with me, I'm going to start this activity. It right away captures the attention and the focus of all the children. They want to hurry up and get to this line to do this activity with you. That's a way of strategically getting them to quickly clean up their centers. So what you do is you're going to shake your hand and say nothing, nothing, and open your fist when you say something. So nothing, nothing, something. And then the children will shout out what it is that they're pretending is in your hand. So they'll say, it's a spider. Ah, get it off. How did that get there? So it's fun and it's engaging. You could either continue it this way while you're waiting for all the children to get in a line, or you can pass it to the next child to do nothing, nothing, something, and have the kids work with them. And that way, the other children that are cleaning want to hurry up and get a turn as well. So that's these Mighty Minutes. They're awesome for transitions specifically. The next one I wanted to talk about is music and movement. All right, so these are a great activity, music and movement activities for transitioning, whether it's Baby Shark or head, shoulders, knees, and toes. When you connect singing and movements together, you can capture the attention of children, but also keep their hands busy so they're not touching toys and materials around the room. If you have 2 teachers in the room, I suggest one washes hands or cleans the table, whatever needs to be done, while the other one does the music and movement activity with the class. When beginning a study, do some research and find songs, poems, movement activities that correlate to the study. That's how you enhance the learning that takes place in that study through a simple transition. One I used to love to do when I did the tree study was the green grass grows all around, and the green grass grows all around. And if you're going to introduce a new song like that with multiple hand motions, introduce it at a circle time and then do them during your transitions. Instruments. You can bring your bin of instruments out for a transition and have the children grab their instrument and line up with it. They can shake their maracas while they're marching down the hall to get outside. And once they're outside, they put their instrument back in the bin. Of course, you've got to get clearance from your director on this because we all know instruments are loud and disruptive. Or maybe they march around your classroom with their instrument while you're washing the tables and you're singing, "The ants go marching one by one, hurrah, hurrah." So music and movement activities are always a great go-to. Another one of my favorites is animal time. So whether you print out cards to use as reference or you just call them out randomly, I would say, everyone hop like a bunny. Let them do that for a few seconds while you're maybe finishing hand washing. And then switch, slither like a snake, squeak like a mouse. And then when your task is complete, let's all be cows and move on over to the table for snack. So animal time, this is fun for all ages. The next one I want to talk about is small group activities. And just because it is a transition time does not mean you can't complete a fun and engaging, quick small group activity. Take snack time, for example. Usually you'll have some children finishing their snack early while others take a long time to finish eating snack. If you want to keep the children out of the centers while you're waiting for the next scheduled part of the day, you may need a transition small group activity. One example is the guessing box. When the transition begins, for example, everyone finish up snack, wash your hands, and head over to me for the guessing box. It's quick, easy, fun. You take an empty tissue box and fill it with random materials from around the room. Have the children come up one by one, feel in the box, and make guesses as to what it is. Another version of this activity is the letter box, where everything in the box starts with a letter, and they have to feel it, but also make the sound of the letter to figure out what it is. You could do this with colors. You could do this with senses. There's a million ideas. Some other ideas for quick transition small group activities could be a beanbag toss, balancing on one leg, building a tower as a group, where one at a time everyone's adding to the tower to see if they can keep it standing. The tip with these small group activities is to have it prepared ahead of time. The next tip of the day is guidance. I thought it was very necessary to add this tip in here because oftentimes, at least for me, when transitions got hectic, I got impatient. I would be a little frustrated and forget that it's actually completely appropriate for children to run around and play and be loud if there's no activity set up to engage them. Children do not understand the concept of time, making it difficult for them to prepare adequately for transitions. Be supportive with children, be patient, and guide them to make the right choices during transitions. Give warnings that a transition is coming up. We have 5 minutes until cleanup. And even though they don't quite understand what 5 minutes really means, they know it's coming and they won't be surprised. Help them clean up their centers. A lot of children will be like, "It's too hard, it's too messy, I can't do this." But if you simply go in and join them and say, "No, this can be really fun, let's do it together," and make it a game. "I'm gonna clean up the fastest." Usually they'll be like, "No, I'm gonna clean up the fastest." Or, "I can't find the cars anywhere. Where did they all go?" And this will promote the search for the cars throughout the block center. Remember that they are young, and even though they've been with you all year, it's still a learning process to be able to transition from one part of the day to the next. It takes me personally a very long time to get out of the house sometimes. So I always have to keep that in the back of my mind when I think of young children. It is not uncommon to hear whining and complaining or to have resistance on cleaning and lining up or getting ready for the next activity. But what will motivate them the most is your positive reinforcement, your praise for what they accomplished well. "I see Allison cleaned up her center. Great job, Allison." And make sure to acknowledge every child for something positive that they did as well. And my last tip of the day is connection. This may be a surprising tip for the topic of transitions, but personally, I feel there's nothing more important than connecting with your children. When you have the intention for connection with your children during transition times, then the wait time to get to your next place doesn't feel so long. The transition time doesn't feel like a waste of the day or just in between parts of your schedule. It could actually become some of the best moments in the day. If you use this time laughing and singing, playing and relating to the children, then you yourself will look forward to the next transition. Imagine you're in the hallway for bathrooms and you're all singing a silly song together. It's making the children crack up laughing while they're waiting their turn. Or lunchtime is over and your children are either getting ready to leave for the day or preparing for nap time. You help those children clean up their lunch area while you're having a conversation about what they did this weekend. No way, you went to the farm? Tell me about it. Get other children involved. Did you hear he went to the farm? Have you ever been to the farm? What animals did you guys see? You're having these conversations while you're setting up the cots or packing up the backpacks, completing the tasks of transitions. They're feeling connected to you, they're happy, and it's reducing challenging behaviors. It's much better, in my opinion, than setting up cots and nap bags while ordering children to wash their hands, pack up their bags with no conversations going on. Then getting frustrated that the children are jumping all over the cots. So keep the connections going strong throughout every transition. And that is it for me. I think I did really good on time. Let's see. I could be wrong. Oh yeah, I did do good. I thought that was going to take me the whole 30 minutes, but I talk really fast. So now I can take any questions you guys have. Trust me, I know transitions can get really hectic.
And if you're not able to unmute because you need to be quiet in the space that you're in, if you want to just type your question into the chat, that's another great way.
Or if anyone has any ideas that can inspire other teachers on this call that you do for transitions, please share it in the chat. This is kind of the whole idea of why we get together, is to inspire everyone.
All right, so this is Amy from Flanders Valley. I'll just share a little bit. I do a tremendous amount of singing.
Awesome.
And the kids love that. And what if I'm singing, don't put your hands in your mouth, I'll sing it very, very fast. And then I'll sing it super slow. And the kids just crack up.
Yes, that's awesome. They love that. They love the different rhythms you could make. I used to do different emotions. So I would do twinkle, twinkle, little star, sad. So twinkle, twinkle. And then I would do it mad. I would do it happy. So even a very simple song that everyone knows, but just making it a little bit different is fun and engaging for them.
Absolutely.
Thanks for sharing, Amy.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? What's the suggestions for no matter what you use for transitions when you have one child refusing? So Sharon, when the one child's refusing to complete the task, like cleaning up or lining up, is that kind of what you're talking about? I can't find you if you are. Oh, okay, great. So my only suggestion with that is to meet children where they are. So if you do have one child who's refusing for whatever reason, this child really does not want to clean up his center. You tried everything. I think personally, what I would do in that moment is be more nurturing and just be like, what's going on? Let's sit down and let's talk about it. Why are you having a hard time? Is something upsetting you? Is it just like really, really hard to clean up the blocks? Like, I understand and empathize with them. I get that. It is really hard. What if I help you do it? What if we do it together? Definitely never forcing them to do any of these tasks, but I know that it can be difficult if you have one child and you still have to take care of the rest of the class during a transition. But just being empathetic, understanding, and as helpful as you can. Oh, I'm sorry, Sharon. I like to do whatever my expectation of them first. Like you said, if I want them to sit somewhere, I'll do it first and tend to intrigue some of them. With the cleaning, we definitely like to pretend to be animals. Also, giving each child a specific item to clean up gives them something tangible to achieve. That's awesome. I love that. Modeling.
And Brandy, there's a question that came directly to me, so I'm going to put it out there in the chat for you to see.
Oh, great.
And for some reason it doesn't want to go, so I'll just ask that. The question is, can coats touch if you bring them in together to make transition easier?
So as per the ERS, they should not touch. However, I understand it is like extremely difficult to make that happen. So I don't have any other suggestions for how to keep them from touching, if you are bringing them all in together. It's just one of those things in the ERS book. If any of my other TAs want to hop on, if they have any other suggestions for that.
Hi, Brandy. Stephanie here. I was also thinking too, when you're talking about having the person at the door and then the person helping the kids, because you do want to have that person engaging the line. Whoever comes up to the line next, you can do the Mighty Minutes or a song or a chant. Obviously, that's an ideal situation. We have some classrooms that have one teacher, but if you can be able to have that two-person room where you have one person at the door and the next person cleaning up or helping the kids or cleaning even, that is really helpful. But yeah, the coats, it's tricky. This time of year with the coats, it's always hard. It's very time consuming, but do your best and I'm sure it'll be okay.
Thanks, Steph.
Hey Brandy, it's Jill. So I actually have a suggestion for the one who mentioned all transitions are hard. For that one child. That child might need some more prompting before a transition starts. So maybe providing more visuals for that child, like a first and then board, showing them, okay, first we're going to clean up and then we're going to go to the playground. So sometimes they just need a little bit more prompting, even if you make like a key ring with like your schedule on it and laminate it, and you can just go up to them right before, you're going to call for 5-minute timeout. Go over to them and just go over it. Say, okay, we're going to clean up in 5 minutes. Do you want to help me set the timer? Even give them a visual timer and have them set your timer for you. Sometimes they just need that visual prompting because they can't handle the abruptness. And sometimes transitions are they can be chaotic and they can feel very overwhelming for a child. So I feel like that overstimulation sometimes adds to why they don't want to do it or go to that next thing. But visuals are very big. So anything that you can do that's like concrete, hands-on, like a visual timer or one of those sand timers, however it works, but things like that I think would be helpful for them too.
That's awesome, Jill. Thank you. Yes. Sometimes, in circle time, you always think of like doing the calendar, doing the weather, singing your songs. You don't often think to add the schedule as a part of circle time, but it could really be helpful, especially if you have those children that need the reminder of what comes next in the day. So even if at the end of circle time, you wanted to add, all right, everyone, let's look at the schedule. What are we going to do today? And then after we play, we have to clean up. So including the transition talk into the schedule as well could be helpful, especially in that situation. Thanks, Jill.
And Brandy, I see that there's a great suggestion in the chat. Maria said, what we do if a child won't clean up, we'll usually ask a friend to help. And that
That's
usually
awesome.
helps.
Yep, I love that. I love when I go into a classroom to observe and I see that 2 centers have finished cleaning, and what they do instead of getting in the line is they go into the other centers and they help their friends. So you could tell, like when I observe those classrooms, I can tell the teacher has those conversations with the children. When you're finished, maybe help a friend before you get to the line. Teamwork, and it's just promoting that peer-to-peer relationship. I love when I see that. Great conversations, everyone. Does anyone have anything else to add or ask?
All right, so I'm going to ask. I have a special needs child in my preschool class, and I have one child who is just super, super intelligent, and he likes to push her buttons to make her do inappropriate things. And I don't know how to redirect. And he usually does this whenever we're doing a transition, going down the stairs, because you're going to go outside and we're not able to give our full attention. And then he'll just make this child, repeat something again and again and again. And we're like, okay, could we try to work on not giving her poor choices. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how to, and he just knows how to like make this one child go into like a little tizzy.
Oh, yeah. Obviously there's no like clear-cut answer that I could give you that could solve all the problems. But one suggestion I could give is perhaps since you know that it's happening more in transitions,
Mm-hmm.
maybe he's the transition helper. And maybe when you do any transitions, he's holding your hand at the front of the line, or he's setting the table for snack, or he's helping you gather the coats, or he's your helper for transitions. It could kind of just take him away from the other children because transitions are a trigger time for him.
Yeah. It just gives him too much power, I almost think, because he's also the child who never wants to clean up. He doesn't want to, any of the activities we're asking of him. So to say, I have a question.
Yeah.
Miss Amy, can I ask a question? Miss Amy,
Mhm.
I want to, because he just wants to distract me to get me to do this thing. He's
Right.
very smart. I know
Yeah.
he's very smart.
Yep, exactly. He's testing his boundaries.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
wanted to share one thing. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I was the one that said, giving them a friend to help them. So we had a little child start, a couple months after, probably like October, November, shy, wasn't sure of himself. And I teamed him up with one of my outgoing children. And it was the whole transitioning thing as well, because he was transitioning coming from another school. And I just found that it worked so much to have someone guide him through the day. And, of course, the teacher, but sometimes they don't want the teacher. They want to meet a new friend. So I strictly had one child help him transition from one area to another. And it was a child that was more outgoing. And I tell you, he blossomed so well.
Wow. That's awesome, Maria. Thanks for sharing that. Sometimes that's what they need. They encourage each other when you pair them up together. So that's a great tip.
And I love that, Brandy, that intentionality that Maria showed. Like she was really thinking about this child's experience, being new in the classroom. And Amy, I'm thinking that, because you know that there's this special time of the day, or that there's the one child that's being targeted, by being close to those children, and, thinking about different strategies. And you may have to try a number of things before something works. Perhaps the child that learns differently, perhaps that child could become your transition helper. There's different things that you can try. But I love hearing the suggestions that people are sharing. Brandy, thank you so much. You provided so much good information for thinking about and planning. And I love the way that you really highlighted the interaction piece, because those of us who are in Grow know it's all about high quality, and we know that it's all about that relationship that the teachers in the classroom create with the children. That's what makes quality, those relationships, and that really thinking intentionally about those relationships and having those one-on-one interactions during your transition times
Yeah.
is really key.
Awesome. Thank you, Lori. Thank you all so much for joining on again. It's so nice to see the same faces and new faces. I love it. Our next PLC is going to be February 28th. It's actually going to be a Wednesday in the month of February, just switching it up for February. And the topic is displays. So this is, again, 1 to 1:30, quick, 5 tips on displays.
Yeah, so we look forward to seeing you. You can't sign up for that one yet. You'll be able to sign up for that one by tomorrow morning. I goofed on NJCCIS. I said that it was happening February of 2023. So that was I will fully own that mistake. But look for the follow-up email. There will be a Padlet. It'll have the link for all of the PLCs that Brandy has done for this whole school year, as well as the slide decks, the quick tips sheets. I know a lot of you are printing those out and keeping those handy. We love hearing that. And for those that we recorded, we'll be sure that you get the recording as well. So thanks so much, everybody. And thank you so much, Brandy, and Jill and Stephanie. Thanks for jumping in.
Thank you,
Um,
yes.
You have any questions at all, be sure to talk with your technical assistant specialist. And I think that idea that Brandy shared about, you know, gathering the coats, the thing about the Eckers tool is there might be some areas where you're going to excel in getting a really high score, and other areas where you may need to accept a lower score in that spot. And if transitions in your classroom from the transition to going inside to outside is really hectic, it might be worthwhile to make that easier. Maybe you're not going to get as good a score on the coats, but maybe maybe that lack of things getting chaotic would be worth it. And that's something to talk over with your director and with your technical assistant specialist. Thanks so much, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.